What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we are on the test server here today, so thank you Plarium for allowing us access. In today's video, we are going to be talking all about the brand new upcoming fusion, Lysanthir Beastbane. Lysanthir Beastbane right down here. So let's quickly go over his kit here real quick. You guys probably know it by now, but he's got an A1 double hit, 100% place Hex with the crit damage boost to himself. He's got a A2 here, double hit with a chance to repeat, so chance to be quad hit. And whenever he's part of an ally attack or a multi-attack, he uses this ability instead. It's on a 3-turn cooldown as well. His A3 here places decreased speed, weaken, double hit AoE, which is pretty nice on a 3-turn as well. And his passive has passive defense increasing bonus here, and he will ignore life barrier and ally protection. So he has ways to basically get around some of the problem spots in Hydra. So for example, he can help free your allies by getting more damage, and he can bypass the life barrier and ally protection from the Hydra heads. So he's marketed as a Hydra specialist, mainly as a damage dealer. So you do need good gear on him to do damage. Let's check out his base stats here. Base stats 1542 defense, which is really solid for defense-based damage dealer. 103 base speed, which is fine, and 63 crit damage, which is fine. He does have 10 accuracy here to start, which is needed because he does place decreased speed and weaken, which is really solid. Now, some quick comments about this guy's kit. So first of all, placing increased crit damage on himself might lead him to become the mischief target. So he might get an extra buff relative to the rest of your team, which causes the head of mischief to target him and steal all his buffs. So it's a little bit of a problem buff here on his A1. He does have the decreased speed weaken, which is really good. You can think of a champion like Eostrid that has both of these as well on one ability. Her ability is better because it brings her kit is just generally better because it brings you more turn meter and more turns. But this ability is not bad. It's also a double hit as well. He also has a little bit of an added benefit that if they're under Hex, then this debuff applies before attacking, which means no weak hit possibility. His A2 is interesting. If it hits really hard, you can kind of take advantage of this with ally attacks and multi-attacks. But, you know, the bonus where he gets based on the amount of allies getting devoured is either very situational or non-existent, because it's only going to factor in very late situation Hydra fights. You know, what I'm thinking about is like for Trunda teams, maybe he could be the secondary DPS that can free Trunda in very late situations where Trunda's going to get devoured, and then it's going to be really hard to free them because of XYZ, right? Also, I could see him being used in maybe Fina teams. So Fina is the faction unity champion within the High Elves. I could see him potentially being used with her as a additional source of damage, perhaps covering some debuffs. So maybe some possibility there. His passive, not particularly interesting. This damage boosting passive requires the active buffs for more damage, so it's a little bit hard to pull off sometimes because you need 10 for the full stacks here. But yeah, overall, doesn't seem particularly interesting, but we'll test out his overall damage output and see if he has some potential. All right, guys, let's quickly run through his abilities and see if they can actually hit. I brought a pretty buff heavy team here to take advantage of his passive a little bit. Let's see exactly what he can do in terms of all his abilities. So you can kind of see here, we got a bunch of abilities here. Let's see how much buffs we can get on him. All right, and then we got the decreased defense here. No weaken, but it's 100%, so we don't have to do the RNG stuff. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. We got 9 buffs here. Let's test his A3 out. So this is the AoE, decreased speed, and weaken. Let's see how this hits. Super slow-mo. Not enough to kill the whole squad, but not bad. Let's check out his total damage here. 932 damage. Okay, 932 damage. Let's try that again. Just in case Helm Smasher and all that stuff happening. 932. All right, so that's the total number. Let's try that again. All right, let's just, for consistency's sake, we are looking at 1,036,000. So damage went up about 10%. That literally could be a Helm Smasher. So let's try it again one more time. Let's do 3, different battles just for consistency. And another double hit. All right. And total damage is 979. So that's kind of like the middle ground here. So it's about 970. Yeah, 970 damage. Okay, so let's try his A2 and let's see that as well. All right, so similar situation here. We're gonna fully buff. Fully buff. All right, A2. So it's A2. Let's target the Chagor here. Okay, okay. A2. A2 is doing 216. Do that again. That was only a double hit. 216. That was only a double hit there. So let's try again. Double hit. Yep, double hit again. So here he's doing 180. So that was before Helm Smasher probably. All right, again, we're looking for the quad hit. I think the quad hit should be able to kill the Chagor here. And buffed up. Quad hit? Nope, no quad hit. Okay, so about 220. So about 200, depending on Helm Smasher RNG. And then we'll quickly test his A1 here. A1's doing 150, so a little bit weaker than the A2. But we haven't seen the quad hit yet. So let's see if we can get the quad hit here. Nope, no quad hit. 250 on that A2. Only 20% chance for that quad hit, unfortunately. All right, so we're going to quickly swap over to my Stultus here as a comparable damage dealer here. He has the 30% defense in all battles. Lysanthir has a 28%, so it's pretty close. Lysanthir is also benefiting from his passive that gives him additional defense, so he's going to get some more damage out of that. But yeah, we'll see here. The blessing doesn't really matter because it's Brimstone and he doesn't get additional defense. Let's see. What kind of damage here are we getting? So let's try the AoE here. Boom, boom, and then we'll come out. So Stultus doing about 626. 626. That's significantly weaker than what Lysanthir was doing. His Lysanthir's AoE seemingly doing much more. Let's try that again one more time. Yeah, it looks like Lysanthir's AoE did do more damage. Yeah, definitely do more damage than Stultus. Let's try that again. Let's try his other AoE. Okay, so defense down, and this one is probably not going to be that much better. Stultus 526. Yeah, so it might be the difference between the passive damage boost. The passive damage boost on Lysanthir definitely makes him more viable. I mean, he does more damage than this Stultus with that damage boost there. Yep, definitely significantly more. And then we can test the comparable against him with kind of less buffs, of course. He's still getting a decent amount of buffs here, but this time only 5 buffs. And then we can test the AoE here again. Still, the AoE seems stronger, right? The AoE seems stronger than Stultus with 5 buffs. You can see here, Lysanthir doing 900 versus Stultus, which was only doing about 600. Both of them are getting increased defense. The biggest difference here is probably Lysanthir getting, 5 buffs worth of plus damage, plus defense. So he's getting an extra 25% defense from the buffs from working with his passive. I don't think that's going to make up that damage difference. So I think Lysanthir's A3 AoE is stronger than Stultus's multipliers on his A3. All right, this time I jacked up Stultus's gear a little bit stronger to see if we can actually catch up in terms of the damage. Let's see here. Still, nope. 636. So I mean, yeah, it seems pretty clear that Lysanthir is either really benefiting from the extra defense or his multipliers are stronger than Stultus's multipliers. I did just increase some of the stats on the Stultus, and yeah, Stultus putting up a little bit more damage, it seems like, but not even close to Lysanthir's 900k here. So not too bad, not too shabby. He can hit. All right, guys, so let's test him out in Hydra here. I got him in a pretty good team. I got the ally attack, and I got the, I got two basically ally attack champions here. One with Podrick, one with Insenza. We have Shimeo for torment coverage. We have block buffs here, decreased defense and weaken from Insenza. Lysanthir also brings a weaken, so you don't necessarily need the decreased defense and weaken here. We could actually just bring a decreased defense champion, but I wanted Insenza to bring her A1, which actually brings in an ally to attack with her, and it should be Lysanthir here. And then we have Marius here as a kind of like defense-based comparable champion. Obviously, Marius is one of the best, non-mythical damage dealers for Hydra, so it's going to be a tough comparison, but let's see. Lysanthir actually does pretty good in terms of overall damage. His A2 is quite strong, so taking advantage of it here with the ally attacks could be in his favor. So let's see how it goes. So we're going to open here with the ally attack. And of course, a lot of it's going to rely on whether or not he gets the quad hits. The 20% chance of the quad hits is actually pretty nice. So let's see here. Team's not speed tuned or anything like that, so things are not going in super correct order, obviously. But yeah, I just wanted to show here. So here we got the decrease speed and weaken. So he is going to be our decrease speed champion here. So apply that. Looked like it was doing okay. Hit pretty good. Let's see what else we can do. We got turn meter boost here. So I'm going to try to avoid boosting the damage dealer just so we can have a more accurate comparison. Let's boost Podrick instead. Because if I boost any of the damage dealers, the damage results will skew a bit. So I don't really want to do that. All right, so we got the potential quad hit here. Okay, quad hit. Ooh, that actually hit pretty good. So here's Insenza's A1. Ooh, okay. That was just the A1. So the A1 triggers Lysanthir's A2, which actually hits pretty good, I think. Okay. Let's see. Ally attack again. Even get that quad hit. Oh, it's not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. Well, Marius does pretty good for himself as well. So, okay, let's do that. Wukong's chipping in here as well. He's like, I'm no slouch. Get me in on some of that damage. All right. So we got decreased speed and weaken. Back at it here. Marius comes in. Not going to boost into damage dealers, just Podrick. I mean, technically, since I'm boosting Podrick, he's getting more ally attacks, which, could benefit Lysanthir more. But I think it probably still benefits Marius more because Marius gets the AoE attack, which is pretty strong too. Okay, so we got the quad hit here. Let's attack this is the head of suffering, right? The head of suffering. So, ooh, not too crazy. I mean, if he quadded up, it would have been like 1 mil, no decreased defense or weaken or anything like that. Could have been significant, but okay. Well, that's pretty nice. I mean, you get the double hit from the A2. Okay, let's go after this guy now. Remember, he also damage scales off of buffs. So the more buffs he has, it's going to deal more damage as well. Here comes the ally attack again. Okay, so, and then the weaken and speed down. Pretty good. 3-turn cooldown, it makes him definitely viable. The 3-turn cooldown definitely makes him viable for to be your debuffer. So even if you don't use him as a damage dealer, I think he can definitely fit into some teams, right? Oof, almost died there because the reflect damage. Gotta be a little bit careful. Steal that off. We did not steal that off. How did that happen? Wukong's down. Let's get the ally attack going here. Okay, and then we got the quad hit here. Oh, sorry. Serpent's Will. Forgot about that for a second there. Okay. See if we can steal again. There we go. Now we got the steal. Got the steal going on here. And let's go this. Kaboom. Okay. Not too bad. I mean, not too bad so far. Let's see a little bit more. Just play test him out a little bit. He feels decent. Feels decent. I think overall though, he probably doesn't hit hard enough, but he doesn't feel as bad as I thought. And plus the added benefit of him having decreased speed and hex on one ability, it's pretty good. I say that's pretty good. Okay, and here comes the quad hit. Only one got through. Extra turn because we're in merciless gear. Wukong chipping in. Says, I'm here, guys. There's the problem. His A1 causing the crit damage. Remember I mentioned that during his kit read? Yeah, he's going to be targeted by the Head of Mischief, right? He's going to be targeted by the Head of Mischief. Just because of his A1 providing an extra buff. So it could be a problem. Okay. The other thing I want to see is, I mean, the Devour mechanic. Is that really worth even talking about? It's a little bit of a damage boost in situations, like later in the Hydra fight, because you need to have 5 allies getting eaten before you get max benefit from that Devour mechanic. So I don't necessarily see that happening too much. I mean, definitely could, but good defense-based damage dealer, a little bit hard to kill, so that's okay. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Let's test out his damage potential. I think we've seen enough of him. The only thing we haven't seen is how, if there's something weird going on with the Devour mechanic, whether that is, whether that is something worth talking about. Don't necessarily think it is. It's going to be an extra 50% damage, but depending when it happens late in the fight, you might not even be able to take full advantage of it if you don't last the entire fight, right? Like if you don't last the entire fight, you're not going to be able to take advantage of it. So we also have him in 9-piece Merciless. So the extra turns that he gains will be just additional damage over the Marius comparison here. So that's also something to think about. But yeah, let's shut this down here and let's see the damage breakdown here. So damage breakdown, we got Marius at 17 million. And then we got Lysanthir here at 12 million. That's actually not too shabby. Wukong here at 9.4. Senza at 7. Senza 7 million comes from the hex damage. Shimeo at 9. So Lysanthir not doing too bad. He is in, I would say, substantially better gear than probably everyone here. Probably even in better gear than Marius, but 12 million from him, not too shabby. Let's do some auto battles and see how well this team performs with some numbers here. Let's see. Probably not an easy 100,000 1,000 turn team. So in terms of damage numbers here, Lysanthir doing 15. Somehow Wukong is doing 30. I guess it's because they died, probably from reflect damage. Let me adjust this team quickly so I can add a reviver. Okay, here I'm going to replace Incenza with the Elva. So without Incenza here, it's going to lessen Lysanthir's overall damage because he doesn't get the extra ally attack. But yeah, we can run the full 1,000 turns and see what kind of damage numbers we put out. Let's have a look. Should be a little bit more consistent here with the reviver, and it is. So we got Marius doing 110, and then we got Lysanthir doing 86. That is, I mean, that is pretty solid. That is pretty solid, I gotta say. I gotta say it's pretty solid, especially compared to Marius here. It's pretty close by. Let's try again so that's not a fluke. Alva provides continuous heals. So the continuous heals could be helpful, adding more buffs to Lysanthir here. So it looks like Lysanthir doing more damage to Marius because Marius is probably dead most of the time from reflect damage. So let's try again. Check again, 1000 turn limit to 85. Lysanthir doing 90 and Marius doing 100. It's actually kind of surprising, a little bit surprising. Lysanthir is in 9-piece Merciless, so he is getting extra turns here. Let's try one more time. You guys can be the judge of, how well they're geared and whether that gear is making the big damage spread difference. Marius doing 116, Lysanthir doing 80. Okay, so it seems relatively consistent that Lysanthir is doing about 70% of Marius's damage. I mean, I think that's kind of significant, to be honest. That's definitely more than what I thought he was capable of. So that means he must have some pretty decent, at least half decent multipliers with him. I'm going to show you guys quickly what my Lysanthir is geared in. So for me, I have him in 9-piece Merciless. This will give him the best opportunity to do as much damage as possible because you get the chance of an extra turn. You also have 35% ignore defense, so he's doing as much damage as he can to the heads. Show you guys the gear pieces here real quick. So just speed, crit rate, crit damage, and then if you have defense percentages, that's great. Yeah, I'll just show you the pieces here real quick. Like this shield is awesome. This glove is amazing. Defense based, yep. Chest, boot, and then there's room for improvement, but you can kind of get the idea. Total stats here in Hydra, I'll show you guys in Hydra. 375 crit damage, 243 speed, 300 accuracy. Depending on the difficulty that you're playing, you do need some accuracy to align decreased speed and weaken. I strongly recommend that you do add a little bit of accuracy to him because those debuffs are pretty important. Keep in mind we were just doing hard difficulty with kind of a mixed bag team, not necessarily the best team in the world, but generally pretty easy difficulty content. I wasn't using any relics and I wasn't using any blessings, so that's a big thing too, right guys? So I'm using Helm Smasher here, which is pretty standard. I think I took Lasting Gifts because he does place one buff on himself, the crit damage buff. Master Hexer is totally good. He places Hex, decreased speed, and weaken, so having increased duration on that is very nice. If you plan on using him more in arena, you probably should take Kill Streak or more dungeon waves or wave content. Taking Kill Streak might be better than Lasting Gifts. And if you need some extra accuracy, I guess you can take Swarm Smiter instead for a little bit extra accuracy. If you need to basically hit some stats. The alternative is actually going down the defense route. You probably could take, some counterattack instead of the Master Hexer. For me, I think the Master Hexer here is very, very nice. The debuffs that he places are very good. So having increased duration on them is good. So that is his masteries. Obviously, 5-star blessed, he would be significantly stronger. We got 345 on him. It'll add a bunch more crit damage to him, so he'll hit significantly harder. I'll show you the Marius that he is compared to. So the Marius is in only lethal gear. So lethal is only getting 25% ignore defense. It is, right? Where's lethal? Oh yeah, there is. Sorry, 25% ignore defense. So yeah, Marius not ignoring as much defense. Marius also doesn't have a relic equipped. He has Heaven Cast, so he has a similar, buff ability as Lysanthir. Lysanthir gets 50% more defense based on the buffs. Marius, based on the buffs, will get an increase 1% for each buff. So kind of similar, right? Both benefiting off the buffs. Helm Smasher here as well, so similar masteries as well. So you can kind of tell no real difference between the blessing or the relics. So actually it's a decent comparison other than it's merciless versus lethal. And merciless does provide an extra 10% ignore defense and the chance of extra turns. So that's definitely boosting up Lysanthir's damage. So him being close to Marius doesn't necessarily mean he will be close to Marius, you know, with just the same gear set. But nevertheless, he does look pretty okay, actually. He does look pretty okay. If you compare him with an ally attacker, or maybe somebody like a Mad Hatter type champion, where they also have an attack that joins up with an ally. Somebody like Teox, for example, has a similar move. Like I said, I was using Incenza. On top of an ally attack like Podrick, Mikage, you know, he could, you know, maybe scale up. He could definitely scale up a little bit. His A2 is actually quite decent, and it hits pretty good, right? It hits pretty good. It hits kind of similar to his AoE, but it has a chance to 4-hit instead of a double hit. So I think some potential here, and obviously it stacks up in damage, so it, you know, it could be significant in the late rounds of Hydra. We didn't get a chance to see his life barrier ignore in action. The problem with this on high difficulty is that you can ignore life barrier with Lysanthir, but the rest of your team cannot. So if Lysanthir cannot free the champion that is being covered by life barrier and the devour meter, if he can't free them, then this ignore doesn't make that much of a difference because the rest of your team can't ignore the life barrier, right? So it's a very situational passive. I don't even consider it kind of anything. I mean, the ally protection is fine. It's more common, but I don't consider the life barrier much of anything. And then this devour mechanic is going to be a very, very late stage Hydra damage boost. And it's not going to be super significant because he's not going to be carrying it, you know, for the entirety of the fight. It's more like a late fight, you know, little boost for him. So I don't think this should be taken into much consideration anyways, but either way, he actually hits decent. So I am slightly impressed. I'm not going to say he's like an incredible champion, to be honest, but I am slightly impressed. I think his true value will come from his decreased speed and weaken. If you guys need that, I think he fits the role. You don't necessarily need to build him in insane gear or anything like that, and then you just use him for his decreased speed and weaken. I think that would be totally fine. He could also play a support in that you can build him as a mischief tank. So if you use the A1 and then you use this, he can be a support. You can gear him out in resistance with a little bit of accuracy so he can land this stuff in resistance so that he gets targeted by the head of mischief. And, you know, gear him out with War Master, so he can pitch in a little bit of damage, but build him as a support champion. He could probably help you out. As a defense-based champion, he's hard to kill as well. So I think he has some space. He's not an awful champion, but I would say he's an average or slightly below average champion, depending on where you are in the game. Early on in the game, he could be a good champion. But that's going to be my verdict on this champion. Slightly impressed by the damage output. But I think the decision to go for him will really depend on where you are in your account. If you really need a decreased speed champion or a weakened champion, it's going to really help out your Hydra teams. This guy could be it. There's not too many decreased speed or weakened champions, you know, unless you have a pretty thick roster. When you're first starting out, like Visix comes to mind for decreased speed AoE. There's not too many. Weaken, you know, you're not looking at much. Geo maybe, like not too much, right? That you have access to. Like just a quick look at the weakened champions on my roster, and we can see here like we have Hatter, Eostrid, Varl, like Newt, Senza. That's about it. I mean, you got Sissia here, Dracomorph, Lydia, of course. That's about it. I mean, AoE weaken, you know. I think that's going to boost his value up a little bit, right? So if you guys don't have those debuffs, I think he's worth a look. So anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the showcase. Yeah, and hopefully get answered a bunch of your questions. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Are you guys going for him or not? It seems like kind of a split, but I think more people are more inclined to take a break after the Fabian fusion and his soul. So I don't blame you guys. Definitely enjoy your Fabians if you guys are going to take a break and all that. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you guys are thinking and planning. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys in the next one.